They were the couple everyone envied, smiling across their cell phones in boomerangs, posting matching family pajamas, showing off milestones the internet ate up for breakfast. Loren and Alexei looked like the one true success story out of 90-Day Fiancé, a brand-safe romance that managed to jump from awkward green card interviews to genuine love, Jewish holidays, and cute baby updates. Their wedding and first seasons were the kind of reality TV gold that kept viewers coming back for more. Fans saw in them what most hope for: a love story that survives all the messy paperwork, nosy in-laws, and cameras never blinking, even when the crying starts. People followed along as they moved from first baby to second, then third, barely pausing long enough to take a deep breath between strollers and sponsored posts. Every family snap seemed to whisper, "Everything is perfect. No drama here, folks." It's not hard to see why people got invested. These two were always the optimistic antidote to the usual mess on TLC. There wasn't a single reunion special without hosts calling them the couple that made it. Every friction point, at least on camera, looked easily solved. She wanted to move to Israel. He sometimes didn't. Her parents raised an eyebrow. His family waited quietly. Still, the edited version kept the filter set to happily ever after. That's what everyone thought, until the cracks appeared. Not all at once. Not in any explosive fight for the cameras. It was tiny things at first. You'd notice Loren looking a little more tired, for one. A missed family gathering here, a cryptic caption there. The house tours felt smaller, less performed. Small whispers turned up in Facebook comments. Why is Alexei never smiling anymore? Why did Loren start posting random motivational quotes, then whisk them away 10 minutes later? She'd pop up on Instagram stories, half the time looking frazzled, the other half reassuring strangers that things were, in her words, totally fine. Except, nobody believes totally fine from reality stars. Not after so many seasons of watching the cracks become chasms. Then came the real tension. Family vacations were canceled last minute. Flights couldn't be rebooked, or so they said. Loren's mother, who used to flood the comments, quietly dropped out of sight. Friends stopped tagging Alexei at birthday parties. People started noticing the energy shift, even if nobody wanted to say it aloud. At first, the audience fills in its own blanks. New baby stress, sleepless nights, maybe a pandemic hangover. But if you know reality TV, these moments don't fall from the sky. They pile up quietly until the avalanche. Of course, so much of this happens behind the highlight reels. Social media has a way of making every family fight seem like a minor technical glitch. Loren would post a sweet picture, then delete it after a single comment asking, "Why does Alex look so sad lately?" The pressure on these couples to look perfect is enormous, but there's no break from the hot takes. Fans think they know the full truth, their marriage, their stress, every DM they get from strangers asking about sleep training or marriage counseling. But nobody signs up for that. People at home barely keep up their own for the gram game for birthdays and Christmas, much less under the eyes of an audience eager to spot any misstep. Meanwhile, Alexei got more and more distant online, less involved in baby updates, quiet at holiday parties, always just slightly out of step in family photos. Fans started making theories. Was he traveling? Was he working secret shifts? Did he even move out? The more people speculated, the more both shut down online. That's the thing, even the sunniest Instagram filter can't hide real stress when you've got a million people waiting for you to slip. If you take a hard look, most reality TV families only hold out so long before things start to look forced. And as much as TLC tried to wrap them in a warm family package, you could sense the chill coming through the screen. Then, almost overnight, whispers got louder and started sounding like warnings. A few sly comments hinted that someone had been spending money like water. One report on a gossip blog claimed Alexei was facing serious financial embarrassment, 6 figures worth. People whispered about unpaid bills, then screenshots surfaced, and suddenly, Loren's Instagram started to feel less like curated joy and more like a call for help. She began posting long, heartfelt captions about struggle, resilience, lessons learned. Then, as always, she'd rush to erase any sign of problems the second they gathered likes. But that's when the public realized it was more than just a rough patch. Alexei's money problems weren't a rumor anymore. They were the first crack that proved this perfect couple had been holding back far bigger secrets. Stick around. The next move Loren makes blows up overnight and leaves everyone reeling. You can almost hear it in the way Loren's voice turned flat during those later Instagram stories, or how Alexei started lingering at the edge of family photos instead of holding the camera steady and beaming at their kids. When money issues start, they rarely show up in one big drama bomb. They creep in through forgotten bills, uncomfortable questions, and the inevitable tension that makes couples start keeping separate tabs. Rumors flew back and forth online, fans debating if Alexei's business deals really were so shaky, or if this was your average reality TV stress test. People at home wondered, if they were rich and famous, how could they mess up finances this badly? But then you remember, on camera doesn't always mean cash in the bank. Everyone saw the couple scramble through life changes. Babies in quick succession, Loren's honest struggles with postpartum depression, new houses, cameras always rolling. There's not much space for privacy, let alone a financial breather, when the world expects you to be relatable, but never messy. Money troubles, when they first started, got buried under mountains of sponsored posts and cheery, "We're hustling just like you," captions. But Alexei was known for holding his stress quieter than Loren. While she would rant, cry, then hug it out with her support crew, he bottled it up and tried to fix everything before she even saw the first warning sign. Friends close to the family saw these cracks before fans did. When Alexei started dodging phone calls, family events, and even regular nights in, whispers grew louder. Loren's circle noticed her showing up at gatherings without him, making excuses, eyes darting to the door any time she heard her phone buzz. Anyone watching their season could see the new, careful distance. Every little annoyance between them turned into a giant argument on camera. Should we spend less on groceries? Who's watching the baby? Why haven't you paid that bill? Normal stuff for couples, but for them, each spat started to feel like the lead-in to something bigger. TV producers know a real fight when they see one, and by season's end, the tension was impossible to hide. Viewers still clung to hope. This is Loren and Alexei, after all. If anyone could work through it, it was them. But hopes fell flat as their social media tone changed from playful teasing to brittle defensiveness. Under every cheerful carousel, a dozen comments pushed, "Are you two okay?" And every day, Alexei seemed to sink further. He was desperate, torn between the dream he sold America and the very real problems threatening to drown him. Was he looking for an exit? Or truly trying to keep things afloat for his family? Nobody could quite tell. Desperation makes people take risks, trust strangers, push away the ones they love just to avoid a moment of shame or failure. That's when Emma showed up in his messages, a friend from Australia, the kind of person who offered understanding without baggage, and, as it turned out, plenty of resources. The online speculation now focused on this. Why would Alexei risk everything and latch onto a new relationship when the whole world was watching? Some say jealousy. Others blame sheer panic. Was Emma the answer to his late-night worries or a way to run from bills stacked to the ceiling? Even now, no one totally agrees. Loren, exhausted and half-willing herself to believe nothing serious was happening, missed the first warning signs. Only as Alexei got sloppier did the truth start to burn through the fog. First, odd receipts, then weird Venmo requests, then longer absences, especially whenever his phone lit up with a certain international number. Behind the scenes, Loren snapped. The mounting stress at home, 3 kids, financial wreckage, public pressure, was more than anyone could keep hiding. The couple's on-screen fights grew rawer, crueler, no matter how producers tried to cut around the edges. She threw herself into workouts, self-improvement, and long rants in the group chat that fans never saw. Alexei responded by checking out. Instead of fighting, he started sleeping on the couch, working late, and refusing to share banking apps or email passwords. TLC viewers thought this couple had it made. The show painted them as the gold standard, but the audience didn't know that every perfect story costs something. People say pressure makes diamonds. Sometimes it just makes everyone crack. Tension over money started as mild bickering, then exploded into full-blown accusations. Loren suspected Alexei was lying, but every time she tried to have an adult conversation, he'd gaslight her with, "You know I'd never keep things from you." The lies grew, along with the distance. Then came the moment nothing on social media could hide. Every marriage has a tipping point, and for Loren, it landed late one night. Her phone pinged with a credit alert on a card she didn't even know about. She confronted her husband. Alexei, cornered and defeated, blurted half-truths. Investments gone wrong, promises he'd fix it all, vague reassurances that it wasn't as bad as it seemed. Only it was worse. Emma, the Australian friend, had all but confirmed to someone in Loren's circle that she'd bailed Alexei out by paying off a mountain of debt, 600 grand, gone like water through fingers. The shock, the betrayal, the humiliation, everything rushed Loren at once. This wasn't a rough patch. This was a full collapse. For a while, Loren tried to salvage their image. She started posting alone, avoiding direct mentions of Alexei, inventing stories for the kids about why Daddy was away. Fans noticed the shift, started piecing together the story, and the speculations exploded. Half accused her of hiding the real drama, half wondered if she was playing the victim. She kept every major fight private, but the exhaustion showed every time she forced a smile for the camera. Behind the scenes, her friends knew she was close to breaking. When the truth finally did come out, Loren didn't go quietly. Instead, she chose the path so many reality TV stars used before her. She went public. People knew something horrific had happened, but when she admitted the size of Alexei's debt and suggested it had been paid by a woman he met behind her back, the fandom erupted. You could almost feel the ground shake. The ultimate betrayal wasn't that a marriage crumbled, it was that the two most trusted faces on family TV had been hiding their own private disaster for months. Wait for the next part. The reaction online is the wildest scene yet, and one comment takes the feud to a whole new level. The second Loren's news hit the feed, the fandom snapped. Comments flew like popcorn in a microwave. Nobody could keep up. Reddit locked 3 threads for trolling within minutes. People grabbed old screen recordings, zoomed into old pillow talk pauses, searching for the earliest signs of betrayal. TikTok stitches played dramatic reenactments, with every creator convinced they'd seen it coming. You could tell half the fans were shocked. Half claimed they'd called Alexei's fall seasons ago. Now everyone had receipts to prove someone was lying. Friends picked teams, total strangers staged Twitter interventions, and everyone demanded answers nobody wanted to give in public. Then the real circus began, because this fallout wasn't just for DMs and subtweets. It landed in court. Loren, humiliated but holding her ground, officially filed a defamation suit. Fans who always saw her as the sweet one suddenly watched as she armed herself with lawyers and screenshots, determined to publicly reclaim her dignity. Bloggers scoured every filing for dirt on Alexei's finances, proof of Emma's influence, or anything that looked remotely like a smoking gun. On the other side, Alexei played it cold, refusing to break in public. He told anyone who'd listen that he was misunderstood and those statements were overblown, but the receipts piled up fast. It didn't take long for the hearing to become a sideshow itself. People online started rating the outfits, guessing who looked more stressed, trading memes over every eye roll and sigh. News outlets tried to play it straight. Longtime 90-day couple faces off in court, but fans only cared about new screenshots and potential live tweets. The emotional stakes here were massive. Every hurt word got replayed in confessionals. Every recorded moment became a weapon in the culture war online. Some sided with Loren, saying she was finally standing up for herself and her family. Others insisted Alexei had been trapped and was paying a price far bigger than his actual mistake. The evidence was brutal. Messages Alexei never expected to go public became key. He'd written things about Loren's judgment, her overspending, and the blame game got physical. Witnesses, friends from both sides, revealed more than anyone ever wanted to know about who was present for dinner parties or who disappeared for nights at a time. The worst part came from old texts and videos pulled directly from their camera rolls. Awkward birthday moments, canceled last-minute dates, Alexei's voice clipped, Loren's jaw clenched. The court scene wasn't about big speeches. It was 1,000 quiet humiliations lined up, played out for all to see. The judge didn't seem amused with any TikTok drama, refused to let fans in the gallery, but news still spilled out online within minutes. Both sides looked frayed. Loren came in with her head high, but each day chipped at her confidence. How do you watch years of your most private pain get replayed for clicks? Alexei, stripped of his cool guy image, finally looked overwhelmed. He insisted he didn't mean half the things people accused him of, but by that point, the story had a life of its own. Emma, who sat quietly to one side, became a walking question mark. Did she save a family, or just buy a new one? Some sympathy poured out for her. 2. Imagine finding yourself at the center of a public war, seen as both savior and homewrecker, depending on which update you believe. Fandom split down the middle. Instagram comment wars scrolled out of control. Go Loren flooded one post, free Alexei the next. Every time new evidence dropped, loyalties flipped. Some accused Loren of dragging it out for attention, while others said she was the real victim finally taking her life back. Every angle played out in real time for the internet's never-ending court of opinion. Platforms like Reddit and Facebook doubled as therapy groups and rumor mills, swapping theories by the minute, watching every court update for proof their side would win. The verdict, a year of jail time for Alexei for defamation, hit like a lightning strike. Surprise flashed across the fandom, hashtags trended instantly, and the takes poured in. More than a punishment, it felt like a public statement. The same man who once played the quiet backbone was now led away in cuffs, a face everyone thought they knew. Some said justice was served, some said it was too harsh, others wondered what TLC would do now, with their once golden couple suddenly snuffed out on every platform. Yet, Loren made the next move the day of the verdict, a move that spun the drama one more time. She posted a raw, emotional goodbye to the franchise on Instagram, claiming she wanted her story out of the editing room and back in her own hands. Hundreds of thousands sent messages of support, some begged her to stay, while others praised her for finally stepping away. It felt like the ending shot of a long-running TV series. One person freed from the weight, another left in chaos, everyone online still arguing over who deserved what. People stopped seeing this as reality TV and started taking it personal. Was Loren reclaiming her life? Or was this strategic for the next chapter? Would Alexei ever get a shot at redemption? Or was this truly the end of their public story? Fans debated if Loren's breakup with TLC was the final beat, or just the first step in her real-life reboot. Keep watching, because the next secret changes everything again, and one plot twist will divide the fanbase forever. When the courtroom emptied and the headlines faded just a notch, what everyone forgot was that real life had to keep moving. Alexei traded fitted polos for a jumpsuit with a prison number, no filters, no smiling kids, no loving edits waiting at home. Within those walls, there was no pretense and no way to escape the bruising questions that come after everything you built comes crashing down on a million screens. Suddenly, Emma had a boyfriend not just surrounded by scandal, but one locked up by court order. Her loyalty, so public at first, now played out in tense, quiet visits and social posts that hinted at hope but couldn't hide the distance. Every missed call between them became fuel for speculation. Would Emma really stick with Alexei through the mess? Some viewers figured she'd move on, while others called her ride or die. She posted side-by-sides of them smiling before the drama, and then added captions about resilience, second chances, and waiting for the truth to come out. The reaction split right down the middle. Half the audience called it strength, the other half saw it as pure denial. And with Alexei out of the picture, at least for now, his future seemed about as certain as a caption written at midnight and deleted in the morning. Loren, though, stepped into her next act almost like she had something to prove. Quitting TLC didn't mean fading away. It meant reclaiming her identity, for better or worse. Her social feed took a sharp turn from brand collabs to wordy story posts about growth, pain, and finally asking for help instead of hiding. Some messages praised her honesty, others rolled their eyes and called it content for clicks. The rumors spiked again. Was her move to Israel the big leap to find peace, or a chance to outrun the headlines? And when that mommy makeover landed, the critics stomped in. arms loaded with fresh opinions about self-image, motherhood, and what exactly counts as self-care. You start to see how the line between healing and performing blurs for everyone around these shows. Loren talked openly about her mental health, sometimes shaky, sometimes strong, but always in her own words. That drew in a fresh wave of sympathy, but right behind it came a backlash. Was this real pain, or a way to control the story now that TLC no longer owned her edits? Strangers who once rooted for her suddenly felt betrayed, wondering if anything was ever genuine. It's the whiplash every reality star faces. What used to be a moment of vulnerability now gets chewed up in the rumor mill until nobody remembers the point. Meanwhile, the rest of the family grappled with a new normal. Loren's circle tightened. She leaned into her kids and started answering only the messages that offered comfort instead of hot gossip. In this mess of public rebranding, one thing stood out: her willingness to show cracks, to share tough days and say yes. Things fall apart, but people still get up and keep moving. The relatable messiness brought in new fans, even while old ones accused her of milking the pain for attention. At the same time, everyone watching could feel a kind of relief finally blooming. Loren wasn't hiding anymore. Audience members read the updates and quietly checked their own reflection. When does self-care turn into running away? How much do you share before it stops helping and starts hurting? If the entire world weighed in on your marriage, would you dig in for dignity or cut and run before another meltdown could go viral? The show was only the beginning. Recovery was slower, less dramatic, but twice as revealing. Every callback from earlier now had new meaning. The early cracks in their marriage didn't predict a villain and a hero, but something closer to exhausted parents who lost sight of each other in the flood of cameras and bills and opinions. Loren's move wasn't real closure, and Alexei's conviction didn't feel like the end. The fanbase understood now that sometimes the big finish is just where the real work starts. Each time someone thought the story was finished, a new question surfaced. Was Emma's devotion genuine? Would Alexei walk away from his mistakes changed, ready to fight for something better? Or would the ghost of this breakup haunt every post for years to come? And then, as if the plot needed another curveball, news leaked about Alexei and Emma planning a private wedding in Australia. Invitations didn't go public, but screenshots sure did. The comments section ate itself alive over whether this was true love, rebounding, or the PR twist nobody predicted. People waited for Loren's reaction. For once, she stayed quiet, maybe exhausted, maybe finally done giving out reactions for free. Do not go anywhere, the final payoff is coming, and you'll see why this isn't really over after all. The aftermath felt less like a breakup and more like an earthquake. Loren and Alexei were household names for so many. Everyone thought they'd cracked the code on reality love. It almost didn't matter if you loved or hated them. Their story took up space in people's lives, in group chats, in random debates online over breakfast. The divorce and public fallout didn't just split a marriage. It peeled back the curtain on what happens when the search for happily ever after is filtered through a dozen production edits, a million likes, and the relentless suspicion that someone's always watching, waiting to pounce on any mistake. What ended wasn't just a marriage, but a myth. And they built that myth together, one selfie at a time, never quite realizing how attached people had become, not only to the image, but also to the idea of seeing love triumph over chaos. People say all press is good press, but for Loren, every new headline burned a little more truth into her timeline. Her life, once a safe edit, was now an open field where every step forward kicked up a cloud of suspicions, old arguments, and the echo of what could have been if things had gone differently. Alexei's swagger, that calm grin, the voice TLC sold as The Rock, it's all still there in YouTube clips and GIFs, but the man himself sits in new silence. For all the fan theories about who's the victim and who's the villain, most forget that everyone watching a car crash ends up a little bit changed. Some felt smug, believing they saw this coming from the start. Some felt protective, sending Loren private DMs about surviving heartbreak or posting how Alexei should get another chance to explain. Others drifted away, tired of the mess and ready to move on to fresher train wrecks served up by the next season. Nobody walked away clean. Loren lost more than a marriage. She had to shed that layer where approval was currency and keeping quiet about pain made you look stronger. She found her own voice again, shaky at first, confident with practice, learning the price and value of sharing just enough. She lost some people along the way, but the ones who stayed now saw all the threads, not just the pretty ones. That's how real healing starts, not with applause but with smaller, slower days, surrounded by people who remember your first raw story and still stick around. Alexei may have been exposed, but the loss is complicated. Not many get the chance to live their lowest lows in such public detail. He had Emma, but even the happy faces on her Instagram couldn't erase the hard months he spent locked up, replaying every decision that led to this. To some, he's a cautionary tale. To others, he's a reminder that people who look bulletproof are often barely holding it all together. The long, lonely Texas nights in that cell probably did more to crack his public image than any gossip ever could. Everyone has their side, but when the camera crews go home, the only people left are the ones affected by each real, irreversible choice. Emma herself sits in the middle of it all, bearing scars from carrying someone else's burden, now mourning the innocent illusion that love could solve everything with a wire transfer and a whispered promise. Maybe she's stronger for it. Maybe she's not. Her loyalty became legend online, but whether she sleeps easier at night or worries fans will always see her as the other woman. Only Emma knows for sure. Watching the fallout, you see how quickly public love can sour into public theater. Supporters turned critics in hours. Skeptics softened, seeing a mother worn raw by stress and a father undone by secrets. Those who stuck with Loren the longest didn't care about perfect skin or gorgeous houses. They wanted her to bounce back against every algorithm and ugly headline. Those hoping Alexei would make it out the other side hung on to the moments, way back in season 2 and 3, when his loyalty looked like enough to weather any storm. Some wondered aloud, was Emma always the villain, or just the only one willing to show up when Alexei needed saving? The real question left dangling in the air: who gained anything at all? Loren got her kids. Alexei lost his freedom, at least for a while, but maybe found someone willing to rebuild with him, risk and all. The fanbase lost their safe couple but gained a story rawer than anything TLC would ever show, a messy middle with no easy winners or perfect redemption arc, one that forced everyone watching to choose their own ending. All this collective heartbreak, rage, and tentative hope kept the fandom's eyes peeled for what would happen next. The rumor mill pumped out theory after theory. Was the quiet on Loren's feed real peace, or storing up for an even bigger tell-all? Would Alexei reappear with Emma on some new streaming service, pitching forgiveness as fresh ratings bait? Is it true what insiders say, that another former cast member reached out to Loren, hoping for a public alliance, maybe a roundtable ex-wives edition, where the cameras roll on their healing and unfiltered tea? New twists keep landing. More DMs leak about what other couples saw behind the scenes. People spot Loren leaving meetings with a well-known podcast network, and suddenly, a blurry story emerges. Something big is coming. Is it a book deal, a mini-series, a total retreat, or another jaw-drop twist that brings back old wounds dressed up as new headlines? You never know with this show. The second one cast member tries to find peace, someone else's dirty laundry blows up in public. Other cast members are already lighting fires. There's buzz. One star was seen arguing in public with their ex, another rumored to be facing their own legal troubles over creative accounting, you know who. Everywhere you look, old flames from past seasons keep popping up, looking for a second shot at relevance or finally spilling what nobody was supposed to see. TLC might have lost its golden couple, but there's no shortage of new disasters waiting to fill the void. The fans, for all their heartbreak and outrage, always know where to turn when things get quiet. They dig up old lives, root for new loves, and find ways to keep the drama warm for whenever the cast is ready again. Nobody wants a fairy tale anymore. Real mess, with all the pain and growing up, is the new entertainment. But underneath the memes and clapbacks, you can feel something softer, an odd sense of community, people reaching for lessons in the downfall, and finally seeing the stars as people, battered and unfinished instead of perfect products. That's why nobody can fully turn away. The show pulled back the curtain, and it turns out, What's backstage is more gripping than all the couple's trips, surprise gifts, or picture-perfect holidays combined. What's lost is the illusion. What's gained is a kind of hard-won connection, the feeling that everyone survives heartbreak. Nobody walks the exact same path, and even the most Instagrammable couple faces regular, bone-deep human pain. As every fan now counts the days until the next post, Loren seems to be building another life without the weight of 1,000 expectations. Alexei, somewhere between regret and starting over, still finds himself the topic of late-night arguments and "what would you do?" group texts. Even Emma, rarely on American radar beyond the tabloids, sits at the center of a guessing game few could see coming a year ago. The fairy tale is officially dead, but the real story lingers, persistent and unfinished. Something even wilder is on the horizon. Eyes turn to another couple with secrets no one was supposed to find out. Old cast members send cryptic hearts and fire emojis under each other's posts, as if signaling more tea is about to spill. There's talk of an explosive reunion, maybe the kind no network would dare edit, where unfiltered, unplanned drama rolls out in real time and every apology, every accusation, lands without warning. Just when you thought you could look away, think again. The curtain may have dropped for Loren and Alexei, but the next explosion in the 90-day Fiancé universe is already brewing.